Hey everybody, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I'm Maureen Krudzinski. This is my great co-host, Anthony Simonelli.
Mr. Forget About, hey, how you doing tonight?
We are here for a great night with Angela and Bill from Gotham Paranormal Research Society. They are also part of the TAPS team. We will be bringing them in and you can hear more about them. Hi guys.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you?
We're doing well. We're looking forward to hearing more from you guys. If you can tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you're from.
You want to do that? Well,
Gotham Paranormal. We are the New York TAPS family team. We handle pretty much the 5 boroughs, Long Island, into Westchester. We try not to get too far away. We've done northern New Jersey, even done Connecticut, but pretty much the metropolitan areas where our cover zone is. And we've been together here doing this for about 15 years now, or more.
Yeah.
Getting old. I don't want to say that.
So I'm going to be inundated with New Yorkers tonight.
yeah.
Hey, yo, you got a problem with that? Hey,
Hey, yo.
what's going on here?
So how did you become part of TAPS?
Well, we're the TAPS family for New York. Basically, years ago, we were part of another team that had dissolved, and they were TAPS family. And we just followed suit, submitted the background checks and everything, and we became official and took over that section. And as the years grew on, we just became more and more involved with everything. And now I'm part of TAPS Family Management. And I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I love meeting new teams. I love meeting up with the teams that we have. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's been interesting. We can bounce information back off each other, investigations, locations, and we just made a whole bunch of brand new friends in that whole sector. And Jason Hawes has just been amazing and, just wonderful to work with. And, I can't say anything bad about the whole experience. It's been great.
That's awesome.
How often do you come into contact with TAPS themselves, or how often do you work with them?
Well, we try to get together at least once a year. We have a big reunion. Sometimes we'll see them in between. I'll go, if they're going to be at a nearby event, we'll pop in and say hi. But it's usually, we try to do the once a year with everybody. It doesn't always work out, especially since COVID, that kind of took a tank on everything. But, they're a great bunch of people. So we try to keep ourselves together whenever we can get together.
Now that's para-unity.
That's para-unity. There's different types of para-unity, though.
Yeah, definitely.
You got the ones that talk about it, and there's ones that just do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really nice.
That's awesome.
How you do both private investigations for just people who have residences, and you also go out to other places as well, correct?
Correct.
So how often do you have private investigations?
That's kind of hard to answer because we can go back to the same location numerous times. So it's not like someone makes a request, we go there once and that's it. We can stay with that family. We had one case that I was with for about 3 years.
Wow.
So we keep going back, and it was just mostly a lot of emotional support rather than paranormal support, which you will find as you go along in these home cases. We can get a request for 4 cases in 1 week, or we won't get a request for one for 6 months from now or a year. So it's kind of, it depends. It depends. If there's a new show coming out, we'll get swamped with cases.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And it doesn't matter which show. If there's a brand new paranormal show on TV, we'll get the call. We have demons, we have this, we have that. The usual. So we do
the demons.
Yeah. Do you guys go in before and interview anybody and just talk to the people at the location, or you just show up and you do investigations?
We talk to them first. We have them fill out a big questionnaire. We have about a 3-page questionnaire. It has a lot of private information on there, and a lot of questions about mental status and health. Not too much, but enough to maybe spark a dangerous signal to us that maybe we shouldn't be going into this location. But we do have the questionnaire, and then what we'll do is once they complete that, we'll give them a call and go over each question one by one, because some things you just can't answer on paper. You need to have that one-on-one
Yeah.
contact.
A lot of this vetting is really for our protection of our team. There are
Mhm.
a lot of people that are mentally unstable right now, and you just don't want to go in blind.
Yeah.
We had one case that came up a few years ago. I think it was in upstate New York, where they kept calling us in, and we kept getting different stories. And we ended up, since we're not familiar with the area, we called the local police department just to see if there's anything going on at this house. We found out there's been many calls that have been made for domestic violence there. So right away, that's not something we want to get involved in.
Yeah. That's a great flag right there.
It's important that you do at least some kind of background check, or at least have a conversation before you go in, just to get a feel. If it's legitimate, or people just looking to get TV cameras to come in with them, or or they're just mentally unstable.
It's also important to know your area too. That's why one of the things that TAPS Family does is we group by zone. So you'll have a specific team in a specific area. You won't have like 25 of them in that one area. So you don't want to oversaturate the zone. So that's how it was always set up. But it's important to know your location so that, God forbid, there is an emergency, you can get the heck out as fast as possible and not look for a road if you're being followed. I mean, classic example was a case we did a few years back, and it was in the deeper part of Brooklyn, and we go in, we have the jackets on, and the emblems, and you're proud of your team, and you get your swag, and we walk into this case, and it's in the middle of a chicken shop. And we had to climb a set of stairs. I mean, it gets good. It gets better. We get to go upstairs. This person had 3 personalities. Okay. So we didn't know this until we got there. And we're walking up the stairs, and we see on the inside corners of the steps what looked like dried blood. So right away, we're like, yeah, what are we going to do? We're already here. She's at the top of the stairs. We might as well just go in. So we got our cases out, and we're doing everything. And this was a complete disaster from the minute we opened up the door. The person made up one story after another story. And like I said, there were 3 personalities involved. We did what we had to do. We got out, we leave. There's a gang coming down about 3 blocks away. They steal our jackets, from when we were trying to, walk to the car. And they had bats and they had chains. We didn't run to the car. I mean, fast enough. I mean, we got in there and we took off, and they started chasing us. So,
Really?
Yeah, I have a list of things that nobody would believe that we experienced. So we've learned from these things, and we try to teach other teams as well. Protect yourself,
Good thing I had an automatic opening tailgate, so we just, as we're running along, I opened it up, we threw the stuff in, got in the car, and got out of there.
And from that point on, we never wore our jackets again.
Yeah.
You think the police have it rough?
Right.
Oh my God! It was like this big flag that you just presented yourself with. It was we took them off. Let's get the hell out of here fast.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of places when I go, I don't wear anything says paranormal on, because a lot of the places, especially private homes, they don't want people knowing that they have somebody coming in. So a lot of times, most of the time I don't wear anything. But when you show up with a bunch of cases, it's like people like, what's going on there? But
unfortunately, we don't have as much equipment as we used to, because everything's kind of smaller. We only have a couple of backpacks, so it's not like we're going in with 4 big carry-on cases with equipment anymore.
yeah. Remember those days?
Or the reels.
The camera was this big.
Right.
Now everything's
Great.
this big.
Yeah. And then because I was big with DVRs one time.
Yeah.
But and then it's like it takes more time to run the wire for that than you investigate.
Right.
So it's like
it's a good hour setup
that down.
just to get the wires set in place before you.
Or get a shorter distance. If because I used to bring two with me, and if it's like 2 floors, I put one on one floor, one on the first floor, because then you don't have to worry about running wires up staircase, over the banister, over doorways, and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we went all wireless. You know, it's good. It helps unless you're in a zone and your internet drops out. But we solved that problem where we got a portable Wi-Fi box. So this way we always have internet wherever we go.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi.
I got these now.
Yeah, they're great.
I got a couple of them, and I wear them. I still got my camera. I walk around my camera. I got one on here, and in certain areas, like I went to Trans Allegheny and I had one on my back, and I walked down the hallway. Because how many times you're in a location and you're hearing something behind you?
That's true. And you
And
wouldn't
you turn, it's like, so I put one on my back walking down.
That's
But
a
the
good
bad
idea.
part about that, you forget it's on your back. You're sitting, you're walking, you're back into a wall. So you got but if you're walking down an empty hallway, like I said, Trans Allegheny was, a lot of noise behind me and stuff.
We haven't been there. How is that location?
It's one of the most haunted locations I've been to.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, stuff happened all night. I had something thrown at me. That's another thing with the body cam. Walk into a room, and I take off by myself. And I'm in these areas by myself, dark areas. Everybody knows where I am, so just in case they have to come find my body somewhere. And I'm walking through, I got my camera, taking video, and I have my body cam on here. All of a sudden, I walk into an area, and something hits me in the chest. Something was like tossed at me. I said, whoa, something. So I'm looking up and down, and I'm narrating onto the camera, saying what just happened to me. I'm looking for something fell off the ceiling, all over. Nah, I didn't get nothing on camera. I did a review on my body cam. I had the body cam here. You see something coming up. You hear me go, something hit me. I said, whoa. Then you see the thing shoot away. It looked like a stick.
Oh,
Like something hit me and then pulled away. And then I found out the area I was in was an area where they used to give treats to the patients, like more kids and stuff like that. And when they were bad, they used to hit them with a stick.
wow.
Yeah. They used to hit them with like a stick. I guess they were nuns, because I know I went to Catholic school. That's what they used to do to us. The pointing stick. Watch out! Across the head, or
I guess you were bad.
or something. But yeah, so those things are great. They're smaller equipment. The equipment's getting smaller and smaller, which is good for us.
Not bad. And there's also you can get those on a site. There's a police auction, and you can get like a whole case of them for like $10.
Really?
If you hit it right, yeah. I've gotten a lot of things off of there. I'll send you the link for that. And
Definitely.
Memory cards for $1. I mean, fantastic price.
Wow.
Just overflow of things they don't use anymore, or they've used on investigations that they're just gonna just toss. Some you take, they have their little disclaimers there. No plugs included. You have to read the descriptions. But I had a whole set of walkie-talkies that I got for like $5. It was great.
Really?
I wish I knew you a while ago.
Yeah.
A lot of
Maybe
money.
that's right. Because a cop, if you could get a bunch of these for the cop ones, they got really good ones.
Yeah, they have them on there too. I'll send you the link.
Okay. Yeah.
Anthony, we're going back.
Yeah, I know. Now my trunk's gonna fill up again. I have like 30 of these things in my trunk, because I also I wear them here, but I also now I just put my camera down on a tripod, the regular camera, and I walk around in the room, and I actually aim that into areas where I see things or hear things, and I actually walk that also. I have one here, and then I have one, and I carry also, and I use that as a camera. And it comes clear.
How long do you put batteries in, or are they chargeable?
Charge.
And how long do you get on the charge? You get a whole investigation?
I get pretty much a whole investigation. When we went to, because we just did the Conjuring House, and I got most of the whole night with it. So But the one bad thing is low battery. Now you're in a dark room and you're like listening. You have the EVP. You're waiting for EVP. All of a sudden you have low battery. Like, what the hell was that? It's in the woman's voice too. It's like, oh, come on.
Oh, that's not good.
But it's they last pretty much most of the night.
How did you like the Conjuring House?
Well, it's my second time there. I like the house itself. I like the house and the stuff you get on it, and outside the location, the shadows, and it's the voices and everything else, and giggling of kids. And I've got a lot of EVPs. I think one of my friends came through.
Really?
Yeah, he was talking to me and Robert, and he said, talk to me, guys, EVP. So that was to us. It was like, that's him. We both knew him. I grew up. One of my guys that was on my team for like 10 years. He passed a couple years ago.
Oh, I remember that.
Friend Joe McCaffrey. Yeah, he's out in New Long Island too. He's out there. He's in Smithtown, that area. But
Angela and Bill, what is your favorite place to go to?
Oh gosh, we've been to quite a few, but you ever notice like it's hard to pick that favorite place because each place has a specific room that you love, or you get like one specific like experience that you can never get somewhere else. It's kind of hard to say. We did. I think Morris Jamel Mansion would probably be the top of the list. Katie's Bar is another great place. Katie's is crazy. The other place that we did several times was Francis Tavern Museum right down by the Wall Street area. And we had a crazy experience there. It's run by the Sons of the Revolution.
Yeah, it's famous for it's where George Washington met his officers right before he went back to Virginia at the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big dinner there, and so it goes back quite a ways into the 1700s.
And that would have been a lot of energy as well, because they were probably like, it's a lot of hoopla and so old, and there were so many people involved with that. That's a really cool place.
It is, and we were lucky enough, like when we first started going there, we went during the pandemic, which was the opportune time because the kitchen was closed. We had full access, and we got a complete tour of Francis Tavern itself, as well as the museum part that's upstairs, the attic, the archives, everything. And in the basement, in the kitchen area, all the way in the back, we found shackles and chains from
the 1800s, I think.
Yeah, untouched. You had to duck down, otherwise you'd lose part of your head. But you ducked down, and there was this original crawl space from like 1800s. It was just wild. But when we went there on the first few of our investigations, in that long room where Washington gave his address and had his dinner, and it was only men at that time were really allowed there. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of still a little bit like that with the Sons of Revolution running it, but we're in that room and we separated men, women, and back on the EVPs, we hear a man going, hey ladies, and just screaming at us on the EVP. And we were like, we don't know where that was coming from. It was bizarre. We left, we came back for another investigation. I got the same guy like 2 or 3 times. Hey ladies. And we're looking at each other like, is that guy going to show up again? And we don't know who he was. We couldn't get a name. It was bizarre. It's crazy. And then you have the Morris Jamel Mansion where we're upstairs. We hear people walking around on the whole first level and coming up the stairs towards us. And there's nobody there.
And we had a REM pod just going nuts downstairs.
Our equipment went crazy. Everything started going crazy. And then when you're in the basement, you hear someone coming down the steps towards you. It's bizarre, like heavy boots. And it's just a really bizarre feeling. Yeah. But I mean, I was expecting that from the Conjuring House, but I didn't get any of that there. I mean, we didn't get too much when we were there. Actually, I felt like the outside was creepier than the inside.
Yeah, we were outside looking because apparently it's a hotbed also for UFO sightings. And
Yes.
I
Yeah, they
just,
said they were seeing stuff the night before there.
yeah,
It was
and I
outside.
saw this thing at night. I saw this thing at the horizon. It looked like a plane, but it was really way up there. And this thing just went straight across the sky, ridiculously fast. And
Wow.
I think we looked up. We thought maybe it was the International Space Station or something, but that was over the Southwest at that time. So it was pretty wild. That's about the biggest thing we got there.
Lots of people say that too. And actually, Anthony, you should know because Ron said that you stored your equipment in the driveway of the Conjuring House overnight.
Oh man, we were at the it was towards the end of the night, but we stayed. The equipment I wasn't using, I put away, and I put it in a corner. Well, one of the guys was leaving, Robert was leaving, and my friend Richard goes, "Robbie, you need help putting your stuff in the car?" He goes, "Yeah, you can, the stuff over here." So they brought all the stuff out. So next day, I had a couple of things, equipment still, but yeah, I ended up passing out on a couch because it was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I pass out on the couch. So 7 o'clock, door opens up. It's the people that are supposed to be monitoring us and stuff like that. It's not gonna get into that, but they come in and they said, there's a box of equipment out in the yard, right in the driveway here. Been there since 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, my equipment, it's not my equipment and stuff. So I'm looking at it like, oh shit, that's my equipment. Now we have no idea how it got out there.
Oh my
Nobody.
God.
And I'm like, this time, maybe, I'm like, I don't know, maybe something in the house, put it outside. I don't know, maybe, Then we found out one of my friend Richard was helping Robert bring stuff out, and he thought that was his equipment. They put it out there. So my equipment, my cameras, my expressive cameras and everything, sat in that driveway from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning. Lucky it was no rain or any dew on it or anything like that.
That could have all been ruined. Oh my.
Oh man, I would have been a little upset, but it happens. You try to help each other.
Anthony.
I don't know what. I put my stuff in the corner there. I didn't think anybody's going to grab it.
No, why would you?
It's my equipment set out there for hours.
You get tired, you're investigating all night, you're exhausted. You want to just put
Plus, the drive doesn't help.
Right. It's a long drive, yeah.
That's a long drive from us.
Yeah.
We drove out there and we did what we had to do, and it was like.
And then you're ready for pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza. You got to bring your own food because everything closes outside in New York. What the hell's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
9 o'clock. It's not time to shut down your town.
We're all spoiled. It's
I
unbelievable.
know.
We went to Pine Bush and we were starving. We didn't get a chance to eat any. Or Penhurst, I think it was. We were at Penhurst and everything
Right.
closes. Everything is closed by 6, 7 o'clock, and we're like, oh my God, we're so spoiled. Where's the 24-hour diner? Where are we gonna go?
Well, you think there must be something. There will be something, and then there's nothing.
Right.
Yeah. And even the gas stations. A lot of the gas stations close early too.
You're
It's
at
like you don't have gas. You got to stuck there until they open up.
Yeah, then you have to get a
I
room.
don't know.
So you can get gas.
We're so spoiled in New York that if I'm hungry at 2 o'clock in the morning, I just go to the I get a sandwich or something. And my kids, they don't even leave the house half the time because Uber delivery, Uber food.
Yeah,
I mean, my son's going down at 2 o'clock in the morning. Where you going? Oh yeah, I just called Uber. He's bringing me. I'm like,
Our son too. Taco Bell.
Yeah.
yeah,
Taco
Taco
Bell.
Bell, whatever.
groceries at all. You could literally live in your house and not move ever again.
What do you think I'm doing?
Pandemic was great for that.
That's what I do. I sit in my house. I don't go nowhere. I call up everybody to come bring me food, stuff. Go on new equipment. I bring my new equipment. Hey, I go out to look for ghosts.
Yeah. Well, that's the only thing.
That's my movement. Get up, go to well, I will go to the store once in a while, but not too often.
Hey,
We're
I'm
all
happy.
Everything's delivered. It's fantastic. I love it. I don't have to deal with people.
All you need is toilet paper and pizza. So
And, yeah, usually in that same order too.
you're definitely gonna need the toilet paper for the pizza.
Yeah,
So
you got to clean out for the pizza. It starts over.
can you guys tell us, like, what you feel would have been your most difficult private investigation was? I know some of them you can't talk about, but
Difficult in terms of the people on the premises to deal with, or difficult in terms of what we found?
what you found.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a place in Jersey we did one time.
Yeah.
The heavy picture fell off the wall. And,
The one with the baby and the ones that moved.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a case in Jersey. I would say that would probably be the most difficult one that we found investigation wise. Was a home owned by a Marine. So we had, everything was structured in the house, and they had 2 boys and an infant that was probably about a year old, maybe.
Maybe 2.
At 2 at the most, still in a high chair. I would say between a year, maybe 15 months, something like that. Because the baby couldn't really speak much. It was, just like, that. But the whole claim started where they had, what was it, a big mirror on the wall.
Yeah, a heavy mirror, and it wasn't, from what we could tell, it wasn't something that was like leaning. It was pretty secure on the wall.
It was anchored in.
And when the thing fell off the wall, when the nail just like bent straight down.
Oh my god!
It was as if somebody yanked it. It was bent.
Really?
It wasn't like even ripped. It was bizarre.
Among other claims that they were having, and the kids were having trouble sleeping at night.
Had they moved into this house recently, or were they there for a while?
I think they were there maybe about 7 years or something like that. They were there for
a while.
Yeah, I guess the house they moved into when they got married, started their family, because the boys were only like about 7 to 10 years old, so somewhere around that time frame.
That's the house I think we caught a shadow like coming out of the eaves up in the attic, I think.
Yeah.
But they moved to Arizona. Far away.
They moved, but we were during the investigation, we heard a big loud snap. And we're looking, and it came from in front of us. And now the only thing that was in front of us was the top of the stairway landing and the drop down for the attic. And I just kept flashing, during the whole night. I just kept flashing. And at that moment, I captured what looks like shadow legs coming down from the attic. We had no explanation for that. I have no clue what that was, why it was there. The family was petrified, but there was also another case, also in Jersey, that was very bizarre, very similar. That they had children that said every single night, all these people would come in and jump on their bed and ask them to go to a party. And they would cry. They said they want us to go with them. We don't want to go. And they're jumping on our bed. The kids were waking up every single night, screaming, crying. And this was going on for about several months before they called us. So we went in, we put the recorders everywhere.
So just to put a little perspective on this was, it was actually in Staten Island. It was right after a blizzard. It was about 16 inches of snow on the ground. We had trouble in finding a place to park. So it's about 20 degrees outside. There's nobody outside. There's nothing there. And really nothing went on during this investigation. And this is when we caught probably our most bizarre EVP we've ever caught. Where the next morning she's going through the EVP, she screams, "You gotta hear this!" Where you hear us on the audio, talking to the client downstairs, and all of a sudden you hear we had left recorders running upstairs in the bedroom and in the hallway, and you hear someone else, "They're leaving, come out!" Yeah, and the whole big party noise comes out. It was the most bizarre thing we ever heard in our lives.
It's like the Stanley Hotel, like the Shining.
it validated what the kids were saying happened.
Yes.
And these poor parents, they rearranged the furniture. I mean, the EMF readings off the children's bedposts were off the charts. I mean,
Oh
and they had
God.
electrical lines going into the house right where their headboards were. It was crazy. It was crazy. But that was
Did
probably
you figure out like what it may have been attached to, or like was it a ballroom at some point? And
they moved, so we couldn't even go back. The father was like, I had enough of this. These kids, I can't take this house anymore. And he, like a couple of weeks after we were there, they just moved to another state. They moved to like Arizona. He just wanted no part of anything. Like, I'm done.
You said there was electrical lines where the kids in the walls where the kids' heads were.
Yeah, like he
I connected to the outside corner where the bed was. The main lines came in right within 3 feet of where the
and they were
headboard was.
bolted to the brick. They were bolted to the
Okay.
brick, and the headboard was
You
right
got
there.
EMF from that?
Yeah, tremendous. We got
Well,
tremendous.
the house was properly grounded.
But we told them to look into that and get some sheathing done on that as well. But I don't know if he ever got that far. Like I said, and the baby in the kitchen would wave hi to the glass window with nobody there. And the mother would be like, I can't do this. I just can't do this. This is every day. He waves by.
But that could cause also, with the high EMFs, that could cause that the spirits can manifest with the electricity in the air, with that EMFs in the air.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've said it many times. I'm an electrician, so you can see when you get high EMF, especially in old buildings. I don't know how old that building was, but with old buildings, they didn't properly ground them.
right.
And like some of these old mansions that we go to, we get high EMFs because it's not properly grounded. They've got to ground it to a grounding rod outside or to a cold water pipe or something. And then it has to be properly done on that because there's a meter, a cold water pipe and everything else. So if it's not done properly, you're going to get high EMFs. And that could cause, the people hallucinating, besides getting them sick. They get even rashes on their skin from if it's so high, and the spirit can manifest from that EMF because you have electrical charges in the air that helps them manifest.
I'm sure.
So the snapping noise, was that like somebody hung themselves? Because I'm getting something with like the snap of a neck.
Not in that house.
No, the one before that? You said there was something with legs. I'm getting like
New Jersey. That was, I remember, it was weird because they had a room, I guess that was a utility room, had a dirt floor, holes, and we found there were bones in there. So who knows? They weren't human. They looked like they were animal, probably a dog, but
Bones.
so that when you said that there was something on like there was a snapping noise when you saw like something
almost like a door opening, like that type of snap. Like you have a attic door.
that
you
came
open
from
that
the
up.
wall.
Yeah. Like
The pull
Oh,
down doors. Yeah.
the drop down attic door.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it was-
feel like there was somebody that like hung themselves from out of there.
Maybe, I don't know.
could have been because we saw the legs drop down. I mean,
Yeah,
it could
I
have-
feel like somebody hung themselves there.
It could explain a lot of the negative
it
activity that was
could,
going
it
on.
could, but too bad now we can't even check.
Yeah, no.
The other house sounds like a lot of fun. Like those kids should have been having a party because if the baby's like, bye.
Yeah, the
There's a party going on there.
The EVP sounded like there were about 50 people in that room. It was incredible.
And that was also the house where they had the toilet where no one ever used the toilet. There was always yellow water in the toilet.
Yeah, the toilet was never used, and there was like
That's
something that
crazy.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
the father kept saying it's ectoplasm, and we're like, I mean, we can take it to get analyzed, but I don't think it's ectoplasm. You have two 10-year-old boys, and it's yellow ectoplasm. So, but
Somebody's just not
Ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm.
PP-plasm.
PP plasm. Yes. My house is haunted. How do you know? I got PP plasm in the toilet.
I know. Try to explain that.
It's like, and so once in a while, there's like little dark stuff in there too. It's haunted.
Oh, some of the clients, some of the things the clients do can really make us shake our heads. I'm sure
I
you.
love the stories. Like
Yeah.
those are the things that make this so interesting.
Ugh.
Like you
People
can't.
are nuts. Some people are just out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then
We
you're
went to
like,
one place where they had, as we pull up, they got people sitting in lounge chairs around to a whole big party. They had
with
planned.
popcorn and beer.
get out of here. So it's literally like,
We're not saying bye. It was awful, and it's just, what do you mean? We're here for the show. There is no show. Jason's not
Why
pulling up in a car in 5 seconds. You got us. Sorry, but you got us. But,
I had a place like that. We drove all the way out to Jersey, down the shore, and the woman invited a couple friends and sitting outside, they're drinking wine, and they're laying us. I'm like, "You got anything? Can we hear it?" I'm like, "This is we're going in to help you, and you're having a party outside, and we couldn't. They're all laughing and stuff. So how can you do EVPs? It's like constant, so." What do you do? You say you can't tell them you don't have anything because of that stuff, but then you can't say, you have. We can't tell because there's too much noise going on outside. You're all drunk and all laughing and everything. It's like,
Yeah, another one that time when I think it's in Freeport where there was a girl who was autistic who was seeing things, and just to keep her happy, the mother had us come in, and they had a party going on in the backyard. It was like you're kind of wasting your time because you knew that there was nothing going on. You tried to humor them a little bit, but
you feel bad for the child, but we traveled to this location. We brought all our equipment, and then the mother and father said was, "Thank you for sitting with her and pretty much babysitting her for the 2 hours that you came. We appreciate that because that gave us a break." Like, really, but we did all kinds, and that's why we beefed up our questionnaire a bit too, to find out more about what we're gonna
you
walk.
have to. I mean, you're wasting your gas money, your the mileage on your vehicles, the maintenance, your time. You're taking time away from your families. It's a lot. There's a lot there. We were filming a show, and I think, I guess I was a little naive because you always think that it's going to be a quiet place, no one's going to be there, and it's like you see on TV. I walk in, there's 2 weddings, the whole restaurant's full, the whole place is filled, and I'm like, I felt like I had like the worst anxiety, and I'm trying to read the place at the same time, and I'm like, I just really can't stop shaking.
Oh no!
But it's you work with what you have, and you kind of have to go with it. But then when people are really just being obnoxious and rude, and they're chomping on popcorn, sitting there in their lounge chairs, sunning themselves while they're laughing and having a party and getting drunk, and they think that you're their entertainment, it's not easy at all.
Mm-hmm.
So for everybody out there, don't do that. It's not fun.
I went to a place one time. I got called from Dan from the Hinsdale House. He goes, "Oh, somebody called me up, and somebody called me, and there's a place out of Mastic. Is that near you?" And Mastic's now nowhere near me.
Right.
And he goes, "Could you take care of it?" Yeah, you know something? Yes, I'll do it. So now it's a Friday night. They want me to come out. Friday night, going from Queens to Mastic, okay? Took me like 2 hours to get out there. I got out there late. And I left at a decent time. And of course, it was pouring rain.
And traffic.
So I get out there. I meet this new friend, a psychic, and we're out there, and they're saying things getting tossed, and things. They see somebody on the corner of the room, things getting tossed, and glass are flying across the room. And so we're going. I'm checking high EMFs coming from the panel. So I'm in there, I look at the panel. It's like, this is not properly grounded. High EMFs, and we're going through the whole thing, and you hear talking and people because it was a small apartment, so you could hear the people on the other side talking, and that's one of the things they said they heard talking inside their kitchen, but the walls are so thin, you can hear people from the other apartments talking in their room. You know, that's how clear it is. So all right, we're going back and forth. So the psychic and witch starts talking to their 13-year-old daughter, and the 13-year-old daughter confessed that she tosses stuff around the house. Okay, when their parents aren't looking, and she's a little short thing. I mean, I could see her underneath the table and flipping stuff, and the parents like, ah! And it ended up that, okay, now it's absolutely nothing. Now I got to drive another 2 hours, 3 hours back because in the middle of the rain, it was one of those rainstorms, like you couldn't see out from your car. And I'm on the LIE. You know how the LIE is. One drop of rain, everybody becomes idiots.
Did you get a timeout?
I was going to time her out. But it was like you said, you have to go in and questionnaires. You have to try to get the mental status of the people before you go in, because some people, we had this one woman in Jackson Heights that I was there 4 years. After a while, you start seeing she's getting scratches and stuff like that. She had a cat, and the scratches always look like the cat scratch. She wake up in the morning and stuff. She did have stuff there because I actually see something walk in and stuff. But I don't think it was trying to hurt her. But she kept on having us come back. 3 years, and like after 3 years, it's like. But she didn't. We gave her all this stuff to, we gave her names of people to get in contact with. We gave her all this, the stage and all this stuff, how to clean your house and all this stuff, and who you could get in, and we had people calling her up and she wouldn't answer, and this went on for 3 years. So it's like after 3 years, it's like I don't think she wants to get rid of whatever there, because she's by herself, her and her cat. Maybe she feels these things are giving her.
It's a comfort.
Maybe.
A lot of times they want your comfort of being there.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of those too. I even had one that, I mean, this is one of the most bizarre stories that I have. It was creepy as anything. This woman called us up to come to her house. She
just let everybody know. Look, it's Pellegrino water. It's not wine. I'm not drinking out of a bag or a bottle. Pellegrino water. One time I was drinking like that, somebody goes, "Oh, what do you got? Wine?" No.
Oh my God, Anthony.
That's that kind of show.
But what was I saying? This one creepy case years ago. Another one years ago before the pandemic. She calls up. Her husband had passed away. She said she didn't want to discuss that. And she said she's seeing all these demons in her house and whatnot. Can we come? I said, we need more information on that. What's going on? Fill out the questionnaire. I get the questionnaire back, and it's very cryptic. Everything is cryptic. So I call her back on the phone, and she says, listen, she goes, I don't really need an investigation. I need to talk to somebody. I have to give you a confession, and you're the only one I want to confess to. And I'm like, not the one that you should be confessing to. I'm like, what is going on? What did I get myself involved with? And I couldn't hang up with her. I just could not hang up with her. She would not let me go. She goes, I have to talk to you. You're the only one I can speak to and the only one I trust. So I said, well, what is it that you have to tell me? She says, well, I'm paying for my sins now, and they're after me. They want my soul. And this started to get really involved. She says, I have stage 4 cancer. I'm hooked onto oxygen tanks, and I'm going to die any day. I left that out of the questionnaire. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, how am I going to handle this? Trying to cheer her up a little bit. And it gets worse. It just gets worse. So apparently, she says she murdered her husband.
I knew it.
Not in so many words, but she said, "Well, my husband's dead because of me. I had to take care of it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get called in for questioning, and it's gonna turn into a whole big thing." And it went on and on. But and then she hung up, and she says, "The demons are gone. They're all gone, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to speak to me. I can now die in peace."
Did she stop breathing while you were on the phone with her? Please
No, but I was waiting for that because she was in really bad shape. She really was
When
ill.
she took the investigation, she dies on the investigation. You got more evidence.
Becoming
You see the soul leaving the body, like there's smoke coming up, and you videotape. It's like that's the Holy Grail.
Oh my God.
But I like, there's part of me, what did you do to your husband? I'm like, I wanted to know, but I didn't want to ask because there's other part of me that didn't.
I was literally sitting here like this.
I know, right? That's how I was when she was telling me, and I'm just, that was one of the most bizarre things that ever happened. I mean, we get a lot of calls just for help, just to talk.
So there were demons, but they were like the demons
Her
inside.
demons. They were her demons.
Wow, that's
Okay, yeah.
crazy.
That was bizarre. That was one for the books. No one ever made a confession to me before. So
But
that was
it's great when you help a family out and they get like a closure on things. And I know I had this one woman in Huntington, and I went in there with just a spirit box. And, of course, I videotape everything. And she was sitting there, and her and her daughter, she was like in her 80s, her daughter was like mid to late 60s. And we're sitting there, and she's I go, is anybody here that wants to speak to us? And the name Walter came up. That was her grandfather that built that house. Well, her father and the daughter's grandfather. He goes, that's my father. That's my grandfather. He built the house. The word Walter just came out, and she was like, the whole night long, she was through the spirit box. We went downstairs on his workbench, and all kinds of stuff that related to him came through. The whole thing. Plus, he was a local 25 electrician, so I was throwing lingo at him about electrician and stuff like that, and some of the stuff that we did on job, and stuff was coming back. Like he was a steward on the jobs and stuff like that, and I'm going to card you. You need my card, and then you card and stuff like that before. And at the end of the night, she came up to me, she hugged me, she goes, I never thought I would hear from them again. Because her husband came through and her grandfather. And her father came through. And she hugged me and was like, I just thank you. Thank you so much. And it made me feel so good after that night that she never thought she would hear from them again. And, it was just SB7.
It doesn't matter though. So like a lot of people that aren't into what we do don't have those things. They don't have the capability to do that. And a lot of people just want to have some peace and quiet within.
Yeah, and that's the best thing.
It's amazing how, though, with the SB7, you can get absolutely nothing so many times, but there might be that one time that you get that interaction. And that's one of the joys of doing what we do, that satisfaction that you help somebody. And you never know who's going to help them. But it's wonderful when it happens. And we had one interaction with the SB7, and it was at a historical location that kept changing its
It's artifacts.
It's artifacts, yeah. And they would get them from all over the country, different time periods, and it would just constantly rotate. This was in Smithtown. And we had the spirit box.
And I think the artifacts were a bunch of clothing and other items going back to the 1890s. So we have a spirit box out, and what we caught was witchcraft. Now you're thinking someone from the 1890s, they see all these lights and everything on a table. They don't know anything about electricity or electronic devices. So it kind of made sense at that point.
But it just kept interacting with us. It wasn't just like a random word. It would be, the next one was, we see you. I hear you. And then you would say, well, what do you hear? And then it would respond, doing witchcraft. And we would say, we're not doing witchcraft. We're just trying to talk with you. And then it would reply like, we hear you. It was like actual interaction. And it went on for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the first time that we really, really had an interaction with the SB7. Most of the time it's just noise, so you just sit there for until you shut it off.
That drives me insane. I hate that noise.
They say witchcraft. It's depending what era they're from too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From the 1800s, some even the early 1900s. Oh, if they're just religious.
Mm-hmm.
You try and contact the dead, you're doing witchcraft.
Yeah, and that's pretty much
doesn't matter. So it could be any. I mean, it's depending what era you're getting that spirit from. Well, and especially you have artifacts that keep on rotating and stuff like that. You don't know what's connected to those artifacts. So that's pretty cool. That's cool.
We were messing around with the APFD process the other night, and I asked, "What is it like on the other side?" And it said, "Hot." I was like, "Oh shit, this isn't good."
Well, we know where you're going now.
Well, it wasn't me; it was them. I'm just sitting here.
Yeah, well, you're asking, so they're giving you the answer where you're going.
No, that's what's it like on the other side for them.
If you said, it's cool, it's cool here, they'd be talking to me.
For me, it's like blue skies and clouds. But I thought that was like really interesting because how many times have we asked that, and can you tell me what it's like over there on the other side in your dimension, in heaven, whatever. And I don't think I've ever heard an answer before. This time it was hot. And I was like, oh, you did bad. What were you doing? It was really
having a good time, I guess.
They're having a good time. They were at the party.
They were at that party.
They were at that party.
They're at the party, and they're having a good time, and they ended up in the over partying. So they went a different direction.
Goofy wants to know, wasn't spiritualism in vogue in the 1800s and early 1900s? Yes, it was like in the
1860, 1870s, 1880s.
Yeah.
The spiritualism started pretty much with the Foxisters. 1848.
Yeah, like the mid-ish time frame.
So pretty much that's when it started to become more popular. And after every war, doesn't matter what war, it was from Gettys, the wars in the Gettysburg, the Civil War, and then the World War 1917, and then all the world wars that a lot of people died. Right after that, spiritualism started picking up more and more because of people, losing their life and the families trying to get in contact with the past one. And now, matter of fact, it's kind of a comeback after 2020 over here. A lot of people are starting to try and contact people that passed, so it's having a big comeback again. Ron's talking about the digital seance.
Well, Chris said, couldn't the reference of hot speak to the sensation during the life-death transition, which is true. Mm-hmm. Because we don't know, like, the chemical makeup of, whatever the matter is. And Ron said, a guest of a digital seance asked what the other side is like, and two different voices said it's complicated. Well,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be asking about it. So, yeah, that's true. They, we're all asking that question, and what is it like? I mean, I know what it was like for me. I've had a couple of near-death experiences, and I've crossed over twice, and I could tell you what that was like, and they were both very different. But to say what it's like,
any of them hot?
It wasn't hot. Definitely not hot.
It wasn't hot at all.
Dark. Not hot.
What was it like?
So the first time was a hallway, and there were black hands reaching out from both sides of this hallway, and the end of the hall was like a bluish glow. and then there were 3 people at the end of it talking to each other, and I couldn't see their faces. I could see their outlines. And because of their conversation and what the outlines looked like, I knew who they were. And they were all family members, and they were talking about whether I should stay or go with them. And each of them had their very own idea of what I should do. And then I was kind of sucked back, and I was here again. The other time and these were like the death experiences, not the near death. The other one was during a surgery, and I could hear the beeping, and I was watching as my numbers were dropping. And then all of a sudden it was just beep, and I could hear everyone still talking and running around, and everything was getting quieter and slower. And I always compare this to a particular thing because it seems like it's very relevant. When I would go to Christmas Eve Mass with my family, my Nana had this black sable coat, and she would lay it on the pew, and she would lay me on it, and she would kind of pet my hair while I was petting the coat. And it was kind of like being wrapped up in that. And it was almost like a black curtain was dropped over me, and it had that same feeling. And I was kind of wrapped up in it. So I don't know if that was the way I wanted it to be, or if that's just the way it seemed. And it was kind of like when you take a summer nap and that cool breeze blows through. It felt just like that. And people were getting further and further away until it was almost like it was so far away, I couldn't hear it at all. And then it started to come back a little bit. And then I could hear the beep again, but it was really super slow, and their voices got a little bit louder until I heard slapping on my hand, and the lady was screaming in my ear. And I thought, why don't you just go away? I really want to go back to that nap. It felt amazing. Like, I love anesthesia. It's the best nap ever. And then all of a sudden she was saying, how do you feel? We're not going to be able to use anesthesia. We're going to have to just do it this way. And it was painful as hell. And I felt everything that they did. And it was awful. And I clearly remember thinking that I wanted to go back to that place. And it was the best feeling ever. So it wasn't painful. It's not scary. It's not what people make it out to be. And it was totally different from the other because it was pitch black and it was not scary at all. But they were very different paths, very different feelings. It wasn't hot. It wasn't cold. It wasn't like what people think heaven or hell is like. It was just different, very different.
Now, did you find that your abilities increased from that moment on?
I've had abilities since I was little. My abilities spiked in 2016 when I became ill. I don't think that they became any stronger from that point because they were already like...
You were already there.
Yeah. They became stronger in 2016. This was 2017. I think they do become maybe some of the abilities became stronger because I think that once you're like, there's a line from your head to your heavens and your feet to the earth, and they get clipped every time you have anesthesia or you have a near-death experience or you have, something. There are some things that have become stronger, but I don't think that particularly made things stronger.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I don't think it was heaven or hell or in between. Maybe I wasn't far enough out that I couldn't, like, I think I had the option whether I should come back or not.
Well,
Didn't see a light at the end of a tunnel, like you hear a lot of people.
Not for that one. The other one, there was like a bluish glow. And I think if I went with them, like my family members, or if I went past them and around, I think that would have been maybe. This might be the last time I'm here, though. That might be why it was so dark.
Fascinating stories, experiences.
You're not going nowhere. Who am I going to?
Yeah, you're not going to go anywhere.
You know what I mean? I need you here to, turn this on here.
I'm fading.
Sit up. We need you over here. You're not going
I'm
nowhere.
here. I'm here
You're not
to
letting you go, okay?
hell and chaos, Anthony. That's
You're
it.
staying. You're not going nowhere.
It's all about
Staying here.
need you.
I'm not ready yet. I have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Core detachment from your body to soul. So when you astral travel and dream, your soul comes back to the body. I believe that. Don't you guys? Otherwise, you can just kind of like drift out there and never come back. I think there's definitely something that's attached to you.
I think to some degree, yeah. You need some kind of attachment to keep you here, whatever that attachment may be.
Maybe one. I think there's one attached to your head to the heavens and your feet to the earth. Maybe one snapped and then you're just kind of like floating around.
Me, gravity what keeps me here. Look at this.
Pizza is what keeps us here.
If anything snaps, my body's not floating nowhere. I'm staying right here.
Have any of you guys had like a near death or death experience?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, I had one that in particular that it was a car accident, and it was very bizarre. The whole situation was bizarre. The accident itself was bizarre.
Do you think it was planned? Like
I
not
don't know.
planned, but
I don't know. I was a passenger in a car that was hit by a truck, so it T-boned right into my door. And I had a scarf on, which from that point on, I will never wear anything tied in a knot around my neck. The scarf got hooked onto the truck grill, and I was being choked because as the truck was trying to turn out of the car, it was taking my neck with it. So I started, I don't know what happened, but eventually the knot undid by itself. I don't know how. It was a double knot, but
when you wear something around your neck now, do you feel like claustrophobic?
yes, very. Anything I have on my neck has to be able to be pulled off very easily. And I'll never tie a knot in any type of cord around my neck or in any way, shape, or form. So that's out of the question. But still in that car, I was stuck in that car. I had to be cut out. And I felt everything like broken. My chest was broken. My arm, I almost lost my arm. Just sitting there, and I looked to my left, and this man is in the car. And he was all in black, perfect black hair, and his eyes were black, completely black, both eyes. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm probably dead at this point, or I'm dying, or he came to take me. Like all these things are going through my mind. And I looked at him, and not once did he ever look at me. He never looked at me. He only looked straight ahead. And I said, you came to take me, didn't you? It's my time to go. And he looked straight ahead and he said, no, it's not your time, not yet.
It was a warning.
And he stayed there. He stayed in the car with me until they cut me out. And then when they put me in the ambulance, he came in the ambulance with me, and he was holding my arm the whole time. And he had his hands on me, and he just kept looking straight ahead. He never once looked me in the eyes. And he said, just stay awake. I'm keeping you awake. And we're almost at the hospital. And he didn't say anything else. He said, you are going to be fine. And he didn't say anything else. He didn't answer any of my questions. And I was struggling to stay awake. And then when it finally got to the hospital, I couldn't find him. I said, where is he? I wanted to thank him for staying with me. And he said that the nurse said, there was nobody in the ambulance with you. You were by yourself. There's no man here. We don't know what you're talking about. There's nobody. It was just the technician and the driver, and that was it. Don't really know.
Oh God, that gave me the chills.
You might be the one to untie that knot to loosen you too.
He may have been, and I didn't see him. I don't know, but it was a double knot. I just made it and then made another knot on top of it.
So was it like Azrael? Would that be Azrael? He's like the archangel of death, but
I don't know, but that's something that stayed with me forever. And even when I hear these stories of like the black-eyed children, and this was a black-eyed man. And you know those stories are not so great with the black-eyed children, but he
wasn't.
he saved me. I feel
And he stayed with you too.
he stayed
Yeah.
with me.
Stayed with you the whole time and made you feel, I guess, more comfortable or maybe safer. Because
Like,
you had somebody there.
You.
And
Why
you
would
held your arm. That's awesome. Wow, that's some
So-
story.
They're very wild, and I still think about that from time to time, and I always think about him. I'm just like, and I remember the face. The face was flawless. It was like a glowing white face with black.
That's amazing.
And
Wow.
and he was all dressed in black. He was all in black shirt, black
It's
jacket.
Lucifer from the TV show Lucifer.
That's what it kind of looked like in a way. But I
I
wonder
would have kept him. Sorry, Bill.
sometimes when those things happen, someone else had told me that sometimes they appear to you to a way that you're used to seeing. So, but I don't know. I mean, this was very unique. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing anyone that looked like that. So it'd be kind
So
of
he was like a model. Like he was stunning.
he was flawless, not a blemish. I mean, his face was almost white, very pale, but just perfect hair, not a hair out of place. Looked almost like he had hair gel or hairspray. Just or someone gave him hair to just plop on his head. It was too perfect.
When you were telling the
Yeah,
story,
that was me when I was in my 20s. I was flawless and maybe I was like you. My eyes were a little black maybe because of the night before. That was me. The guys look good looking and wore black. Kind of
And
like
the
him in
pizza
my
hit,
20s.
right?
Yeah. Well, you would have been a little bloodshot in my eyes too, but
that's really interesting. That's such a cool story. Like,
that's awesome.
and the weird when you were talking, I could picture him in my head looking exactly like that before you even went back and told the details of it. And when you tell people, are they like, "Oh my God, that's insane! You must be crazy"?
Yeah, I don't tell too many people that, but
Well,
yeah,
You just
But,
told everybody here and
I
called
know.
the
I
UK.
just realized that.
You were broadcasting in Manchester, England, also now too. So you got two continents that just heard you.
Well, if they could figure it
Well,
out,
who cares?
open to
But
ears.
you know what? You're not the
Listen,
only.
you got people here that understand these things and will listen to you and not judge you. That's what this whole thing with the Parunity. Don't judge each other.
Right.
You're happy for each other. You somebody does something good. Yeah, you're happy for them. You don't put them down for it. But your story and stuff like that, where it should be.
How does it
But
learn if we don't talk to each
groups
other?
I've been with, the people I've been working with recently and stuff like that, and like the last couple of years, just like that. We're all on the same mind. We don't judge each other, and we're happy. If something happens for the other person, you're happy for them.
Right.
That's the way it should be. And so you're in a good group of people right now that believe everything you say.
I know. You guys are great.
Nobody's an expert. No one knows the correct way, the right way to do things.
That's
More-
right.
More techniques or things you learn.
And you learn from others, I mean, we have always felt that way. I mean, we love investigating with other teams. We jump on that whenever we can. We get invited to join in on an investigation. We're there. If we could do it, we're there. Because we all learn from each other. There is no one that knows everything. I mean, it just doesn't
That's
work.
how you learn more
Right.
about things, by other people's techniques and stuff like that. And like I never investigated you guys, but we've been talking about it for years.
Right.
Like hey, we've got something, and it's like, and then it's like it doesn't pan out or whatever.
It's in the way, and the last couple of years, I think were very hard for everybody, and just the whole COVID transitions and pandemic stuff, and deaths in families, and I mean, our team took a big hit when it came to deaths during the whole pandemic. It took a long time for our team to recover, but that whole time period. I mean, how many years though? 4 or 5 years now? 4 years?
Yeah.
19.
Oh my God, has it been that long?
End of 2019.
Three.
That's it.
Three.
Seems like so much longer.
I mean, really two, because 2021 had pretty much a lot of the restrictions still.
Yeah.
So
Seems like
yeah.
much longer though, doesn't
I mean,
it?
yeah, it does. You guys, want to go to Gettysburg?
Yeah.
Ron Iacovetti and Lourdes Gonzalez and are going to be there, and they're going to be running the Staticom.
I want to see that. I haven't witnessed
Really
that.
good, really good. We just did it.
It's amazing.
It really is, and I mean, it's something because you guys been in it for a while, so you know what I'm talking about. How the technology just changed, and there's so much more now, and they're them and when Tony and Sherry Rathman, they're like pioneers, and it's old technology that they're bringing modern.
Really? How does the Spiritcom work?
It's actually working with white noise. They got white noise generators now, and it works. You know what I mean? And they do filters, computer filters, which they don't. They might have told me about it. I'm not the ITC people.
No,
But-
yeah. But I think white
They
noise.
all know what the hell they're doing. I sit there and I watch and I listen and stuff like that. But they're getting conversations, sentences, and this is how just shh, and they feed it through, and they're getting words and people talking and answers.
I heard the sample the other night from one of the videos that posted, and I was like sitting there. I had to replay it. I'm like, am I hearing this right? It was crazy. It was a whole conversation. It was insane.
Yeah. So at Gettysburg, I know they're going to grab a room like they did last year and play it. So you guys got to sit in with them and just hear it.
Would love to. Absolutely.
Hear that.
It's such an amazing technique. Like everybody should watch and listen to this at least once. It's phenomenal what they're able to do, and I always say that it's like a telephone to the other side. It's amazing.
Yeah. We're getting it stuff. Matter of fact, on their next show on Entity Voices, here, Ron. Yeah, it goes Ron with the filters.
Yeah.
Staticom is filtering and
No
slowing down
data in it.
your
Yeah,
white
it's
noise that we generate live. No data in it. Voices via resonance.
Mm-hmm.
He's so.
Amazing.
They're so intelligent. He and Tony and Cherie and Lourdes, they're like amazing.
Yeah. Their next show, the Entity Voices, their next show next Monday, they're going to do a thing about the Staticom with Ron and Lourdes. They're going to do a thing. And I'm going to be a guest host on their show. Which I'm honored with that. But
I didn't catch that.
watch their show next week. And I mean, Ron is talking to like encyclopedias. We call him Ronopedia because this guy is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, you ask him a question, and he'll give you explanations. I'm there like, okay, what he just said? But the wealth of knowledge. Him, Lourdes, and Tony and Cherie, they do this. So yeah, their show next week.
That's great. That's a great asset.
Of course, and Chris and Audrey will be there also.
I have to give Chris props too. Like if you talk to him, he knows everything about everything about everything about everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Chris. You show him a picture, and he analyzes that picture to everything in that picture. You have your spirit there, and your spirit is. Maybe he's about 6 feet tall because the door edge is like 5 feet tall, and you're like, okay. He's
Some
like,
people have that eye. They have those.
and he can tell you like dimensions and stuff like that and everything. So Chris is good like that too. So
Awesome.
you gotta watch the show. Yeah,
You will be
Yeah.
there.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
That's
Tell
what
us
I
more
mean.
stories.
Yeah.
Phil, you don't talk at all, do you?
I don't get a word in normally, so
Yeah, I know. She does. Well, you're from my old town, aren't you?
He's from Bensonhurst. I'm from your old town.
You're from Glendale,
Ridgewood.
Ridgewood. Well, right there. It's like
Yeah.
I'm from the good section, the south section of Brooklyn, but the Bensonhurst.
Bensonhurst. Hey, ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was the other thing, you know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah,
that,
I got lost my accent somehow along the way.
No, you didn't.
I used to have a
It's
thicker
there.
one. I used to have a
It's there.
thicker
I
one.
know. Anywhere I go, investigations, we stop to get something to eat. Oh, you're from New York.
We get that
No,
all.
I'm like, nah. They go, you got the accent. No, I don't got no accent. You got the accent. I'm from New York. You know. So
Yeah, we got stopped in Massachusetts. We were at we saw a Yankee Red Sox game. We got pulled over. Police pulled over our car, made us get out.
It had New York plates.
Get out.
I mean, it was a joke, but it was like, really? You made us like a half hour late for the game for this, just to have your fun.
yeah, well, they wanted to make you late for the game. That's it.
Yeah.
Red
Let's
Sox called us. They should have made us late. They could have missed the game.
That's what they try to do, make you miss the game. You know?
Oh,
Just in
man.
case, because they're afraid the Yankees whooping their boys.
Yeah, so far it's the other way around. They're whooping us.
Yeah, well,
Bill, what's your favorite story? Like what's your favorite investigation?
it's your turn to talk now, Bill.
We're putting you on the hot spot.
For the private homes, it's probably we went to a house out in South Hope. There was a woman whose daughter had cystic fibrosis, complaining of in her bedroom a lot of paranormal activity, and the toys would just move on their own. And the mother was a contractor, and she had recently re-landscaped the whole house, renovated the whole house. We went there a couple of times. There was another time where lights just started flashing in the room and no one was home. You know, it was a strange situation. And what we found out, and we ended up talking to a couple of neighbors, especially at one house down the block. This was in South Hole on the peninsula, and it seemed like the whole area was active with paranormal activity.
Wow.
And
The shoes.
when they were digging up the landscape, they found like 100 shoes, I guess, dating back to like the 1880s. So we were speculating there could have been some kind of pandemic that hit that area where they ended up burying people and would burying shoes. It was a superstition, I guess, to try and get rid of whatever ailments they had. But another house we went to, they were complaining of shadow sightings and constant knocking on the walls, constantly feeling like someone's right behind them. So the whole area seemed like it was under siege. A lot of people were moving out.
It was, we were attributing it to possibly that area of land because we had called in the help of a shaman, and we were trying to get a hold of everybody that we could think of that specialized in that area. And they all seemed to feel that it was from an ancient burial ground.
Indigenous burial ground at the time. It's also where I think the first time we used the full spectrum camera. And we caught a really bizarre photograph. It seemed like a couple of shadow figures peeking out on the side of a tree trunk outside.
Yeah, it actually looks like the Grim Reaper in a way. It was a cloaked figure just leaning up against the tree. And I tried to recreate the photo. I could show you the photo. I still have that photo. I'm not parting with that. But it just was so strange. We went back twice to try to recreate the photo. We never could. And I did, the 3-4 images in succession. Only that one image came out. And that was a very strange case. She was a contractor, so she was building her own house, and there were no explanations for anything. I mean, she dug up her whole entire lawn. They found no shoes. The neighbor had issues. The neighbor in the back of the house had issues. Who was a doctor in that time period? A doctor that owned that property, and so for some reason it was all tied in and all connected. But like I said, we contacted shamans and everyone else in that area to try to help us, the historical society, but it all pointed to in cursed ground or burial ground, or there had something to do with that. But sometimes with these,
it's like Poltergeist, the movie.
Yeah.
Poltergeist.
you meet
Yeah.
a lot of resistance sometimes. You know, you
Yeah.
go so far and then you're not allowed to really pursue anymore because of the town. So, you know,
Mhm.
I feel bad, you know, because you want a conclusion. You want something to help these people, but you get stomped on pretty quick sometimes.
Yeah, you get shut down because they don't
Yeah,
want. Sometimes the town doesn't want you to know their dirty
right,
laundry.
right.
Yeah.
You
We come
know,
across that a
look
lot.
at that. Yeah,
Well, we had
we
recently.
did a we did a uh, I'm not going to say exactly where because
Right.
but we did it was a police academy. There are a lot of scandal going on in it, and the chief was there and everything, and he was doing it EVPs with us, and he was getting answers, and they even told him what kind of gun he's carrying. It was yeah, so it was interesting, but there was a scandal amongst one of the, the officers that was teaching there that with he had all kinds of kiddie porn on his computer and stuff like that, and he ended up taking his life. But we were getting that he didn't take his life. Uh, they say he took his life on the grounds there, but we got more like somebody took his life.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
A little different.
and we were getting kind of deep in there, and I shut it down right away. I'm like, okay, and let's go because there used to be a hospital also this place. So because the chief was running for like some kind of political position and everything like that, and I didn't want to pursue it anymore, just in case we came across something. And I don't know, they're cops; they could do whatever they want when it comes to certain things. So we shut it down, and then we focused on. It used to be a hospital also, so we focused on the hospital aspect of this place. But it got to a point like even the police, there was a couple cops there and stuff like that, and they were like looking at each other, and I'm like noticing them like with words something come out, and they like look at each other like they knew something, or maybe they were doing a investigation on it or something, and but I don't know. It was kind of a little nerving there, you know, because it's like okay, I think we're gonna stop here.
yeah, really.
Because I don't really, I mean, I'm looking for ghosts. I don't want to become a ghost.
Right. You have to know when to, you know.
Yeah. You know, you don't want to push it. I'm not a cop. I'm not an investigator. I'm not a, attorney or anything. I just go there just to investigate. I mean,
Yeah.
like they got too close to some stuff, and they start looking at each other and like, whoa. I don't want to be called in. You know.
One place I always wanted to go back to, we went to a long time ago, was the Hillview Manor.
Hillview.
And that place was, I remember I was in, I guess, a room that was used for, I guess, it was a sick ward. And I had headphones on. I was by myself, and I started hearing what sounds like a heartbeat monitor. Boop, 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 boop. I'm like looking around. I can take the headphones off. I don't hear anything. Put the headphones back on. I'm hearing that again. And that's the place where you had that
Yeah, we
that
were
experience up in the top floor there.
third floor. And if you've ever been in Hillview Manor, you can't just walk up a flight of stairs. You kind of have to hug the wall. It's like the stairs are all deteriorated. So, I mean, you have to go up and just really like be mindful of where you're stepping and walking. So we're upstairs on the third floor, and Dustin Parry went behind the nurse's station there. And he starts talking, and you know we're listening to him talk, and I look to my left, and I see this sweet little old lady in a wheelchair with her daughter on her mother's wheelchair arm, and just looking, smiling back. Yeah, this is fun, we're having such a good time. And I'm like, that's cute. And I look down, I'm like, wait a minute, there's no way a woman in a wheelchair can get up here. And I looked,
There's
and
no
they were gone.
elevator.
They were gone. They disappeared.
Wow.
Full body apparition of
That's so awesome.
about 3 feet to my left, and I just, I froze for like a second, and it was just like no mist, no fog, real people that you could grab and touch. Oh, elderly woman in a wheelchair and her daughter or her nurse. just having a great time being with us and listening to Dustin talk, and they were gone in a snap of a finger, gone. No one else saw them. I was the
The
only one.
wheelchair, was it like a Mon wheelchair? Was it an old style wheelchair? You know,
I didn't pay much of attention to it. It just, because she was just hanging out like with her arms folded in
Did
front
she have
of
her
her.
purse?
With or a little shawl or whatever, and she was just, this is fun, a nice day out. And the daughter was like, just they were gone, and I'm like, I just
that's interesting.
And he's like, yeah, sure you did, and I'm just like, I did, it really did, 3 feet away from me. Okay.
You're seeing people everywhere.
And I always do. I'm the one in the group who sees everybody. This has been my life.
She's the sensitive one, so.
Since I've been 3. I mean, this isn't anything new for me. So got kind of used to it. Sometimes I don't even say when I see. I just keep on going because people just will not believe you many of the time. So I just learned to just zip it up and just go about my business unless it's pertinent to what we're doing, or I'll tell you later.
Growing up Glendale, you learned that. I know me, because in the cemeteries, you hang out in the cemeteries,
That's
and,
what we did.
and it's like, you say something, next thing you know, it's like, oh, what kind of drugs you on? Give me some, you're seeing dead people.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I just seen this. And you learn to,
learn.
from the era before it became popular on TV and everything like that. Like to this day, sometimes I don't say things. It's not that I'm afraid of, and stuff. I'm just like, I just don't want to hear, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes, and the people I'm with probably wouldn't, they wouldn't do that. But, sometimes just to this day, you start, like I said, you come from an era before it became popular on TV and everything else. So
also, it helps when you know your circle too. So
yes,
when you're within your circle, you can talk about anything. And then, when you're outside the circle or outside your comfort zone, you learn when to pull back a little bit and just not mention certain things. We all learn.
I say to my family, like, oh, did you see whatever? And they're like, oh, Maureen.
Right. So like, here she goes again.
Yeah,
it's like
here she goes.
For the longest time, like every time we took a family vacation or, whenever he could get time off, which is like impossible years ago to get, it would always be like a historical location or a haunted location or whatever. And the kids are like, where are we going? Are we going to another haunted thing for the haunted person died and another person no, we're going to Disneyland, but on the way we're going to stop.
We're stopping at the haunted mansion.
Oh, that was the best, just for that alone. It was great.
A real haunted mansion.
But those are the places I like to. I find more fascinating. Like I'm thrilled going back to Gettysburg. We didn't really get much of a chance to do much investigating last time because there's still pandemic restrictions and a lot of things. They
closed half of the battlefield last year, so it was like there were signs and gates up. We couldn't.
We had caught years ago, I guess, by Little Round Top over. I think Devil's Den.
They were working
where we caught it looked like a soldier. So I think one member of our team had taken a picture and saw a Confederate soldier just sitting there with his legs crossed, and there was nobody there at the time. So
Gettysburg's a candy store for the paranormal.
Yeah.
So looking forward.
That's what got me with, I had a team going before that, but that's what got me more into the equipment part of it because I still using cameras and stuff like that. And I was at Gettysburg, and we went to the Peach Orchard at night, and we pulled up there and walking over the hill, and it was a full moon. The moon covered the sky. And I seen a soldier walking off the field. I just seen the shadow of the soldier walking off the field with the hat going down, with his gun, with the barrel hanging down, and the butt of the gun on his shoulder. Like he's just walking off the field because I could see his pack and everything. I'm like, I thought at first it was a reenactor. Then all of a sudden he got by the moon and disappeared because the moon was right there. And it was came and was like. And I started jumping up and down. See, this is where I came from. This is where I came from. This is what it was. This is great. And then the next day, that's when I started buying all my my obelisks and all that stuff, and the K2s and whatever the equipment was back then. You know, we bought our equipment in hardware stores. It wasn't Go Stop and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I used to go to Home Depot or just a local hardware store to get, my EMF meters and stuff
I was
like
just
that.
going to make a very bad joke. I'm going to shut my mouth.
But
I was going to say,
it
oh, I
was
didn't know
like,
they had Home
you
Depot.
see me on film going jumping up and down. This is what I gave for. So
Yeah, I used to make my own Shack Hack boxes for Radio Shack.
yeah, you just open it up. It's one thing. You snap off. Boom. That's it.
That was it.
Yeah,
A
I
little
still got
$25 radio and pop out the little piece, and you're good to go.
I still got mine here. But
Oh, you still have it?
He doesn't give anything away.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I got this Obelisk too. The old,
Oh my gosh. The original?
the one is. This is like a couple generations. I think this is the Obelisk,
First generation, the first one?
the X, Obelisk X, and then you had this attachment that actually wrote the words out because you know how Obelisk. So yeah, I got a lot of my old equipment
Does
still.
it still work?
What, the Obelisk?
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it's charged or the batteries.
Yeah, there's so much equipment in our cases that we don't even use.
Here, dictionary mode. Still works. Placebo.
Placebo.
Yeah.
Does it work? It's
Project.
just placebo.
Placebo project. I mean, slight. I'm not going to keep it on because I'm going to be reading this all night. And it's funny. I had that on when I first got it, and we went to Hinsdale, and my brother had one too. And it was weird because it seemed like the two obelisks were talking amongst each other.
I've seen that happen.
It was like we didn't exist. They were talking amongst each other, and it was like a
That's
conversation. Yeah, one would go off, and then the other one would go off and like answer it, and then that one, and then it go off back and forth. One would go off, and then the other one would go off with like a different word, or like they were talking amongst each other.
That reminds me, we on the last visit we had to the museum, we we had all the equipment out. We had the GS2 out, with the big red grid, and we had the REM pods lined up, and it was so funny because if we started joking around with the docents that were with us that night, and they would tell a joke, the REM pod would go off in a way that it was chuckling with us and laughing and giggling.
Oh wow!
And it was happening the whole end half of the evening, and we couldn't stop laughing. And it was we started to deliberately just tell jokes at the end of the night, and the thing would just go off whenever we started laughing. It was hysterical to actually have the REM pod laugh with you. It was fun.
So it loved you guys.
The REM pods. I mean, sometimes we were at Burlington Prison
Oh, that's a good one.
in Mount Holly.
Mhm.
And you know how the basement area where the guy escaped and all that stuff. And we had a rampart going down from the one section where the opening is, one in the middle, one on the other side. So we decided we're going to play music. Okay. And we're there and we're playing music. We're playing like an old piano type of music, And I said, we're having a party in the basement. Come on, join us. And all of a sudden, the rampart on the other end goes off. The middle one goes off, and the one by us goes off. It goes. That one goes off, then shuts. The middle one goes off, shuts, and then the one by me. Like they walk down the hall.
Yeah.
And then it was like, come on, let's dance. And all of a sudden, they started like going off, like somebody was dancing up and down the hallway,
That's
all separate. Like one here, then that go off, that, and it's like, wow. It was like, and it worked so well. You know what I mean?
I love when that
We
happens.
did that time with Danny at Morris Jamel.
Oh
in
yeah.
in the front parlor. What we did, he's an actor singer, so we had him go into the parlor in the front by himself. We went outside, and he started singing an Italian aria. And what we ended up getting on the video record, the audio recorder, was him singing. All of a sudden, it sounded like someone with a violin or something coming in the background trying to sing along with him. And he would screw up, and the thing would keep going. Didn't realize he stopped. And but
It was wild. It just, because we made sure we left the house. We had the whole house wired, and we just locked him in there to sing. We had the equipment
Mhm.
going, and we just went out the front door there and just waited on the steps for him to come out after us. So he stayed in there by himself for a
Yeah.
little bit. When we played it back, we were shocked. I mean, you can actually hear like an orchestra playing, and that was the room where supposedly I think Eliza Jamil got married in that room. So you would
Oh,
have
wow.
a quartet playing,
Yeah.
and so it was pretty wild. I mean, that place is probably high up there on the list of favorite places. Terrytown Music Hall is another one. We were doing, we started to do events there, and then COVID hit, and then the whole change of staff. So it's been hard getting back into there again because their schedule has been so full. Like they're booking so constantly that we can't get in there unless it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Interesting there is, the first time we investigated there, we kept hearing whistles, and we had whistles on our recorders. And what we found out was back in the 1890s, turn of the century, a lot of sailors on shore leave would come and work as stagehands. And back then, they didn't have walkie-talkies or anything like that. They'd whistle to signal
Wow.
cues, which is pretty interesting.
So that
Yeah,
was
it is.
we found out the reason for the whistles on all our audio. We heard someone singing in the dressing room. We picked up that. We had the other thing that was wild too was right in front of the stage. We were just like talking with the owners there, and just explaining which rooms we're going to go into, and just explaining the process. And we see a man walking towards us. We didn't know who the man was, but we saw him come down the aisle and approaching our circular group there, and he disappeared. So full body apparition walking right into the base of the theater, and we all saw it this time, not just me. So I'm not the crazy one. So it was nice. Shut up. Nice validation.
That's like the holy grail of ghost hunting.
Yeah, but when someone else sees it, it would feel better, But otherwise, it would be that
Verifies it more for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see it. Look, they seen it too.
Right.
We had something cool happen when we were at the Shanley. We had 2 people doing the Estes method at the same time, and Anthony was writing stuff down, and it was kind of like they were answering each other, going back and forth, which I thought was awesome because I've never seen that happen.
Yeah, the way I do the estimate is I do with wireless. I sit in one section. I was on the Shanley. I was on the first floor. Lourdes and Maureen went to the Bordello area. You've been to Shanley, so you don't talk about.
No, I've never been Shanley.
No?
That's all.
I get you there.
Yeah.
Maureen and Lourdes was in the Bordello area. Kelly, the owner, and Tracy, the manager, were down the basement. So everything is wireless. So they can't hear me talk or ask questions. And Lourdes was in one area and Kelly was in the other area. And every time they said something, I would write it down, but I would write on separate lines going down. Okay? At the end of the night, we read it. It sounded like it was like a whole story coming through, like they were talking to each other and saying they were saying the same word at the same time.
It was really cool.
And that's I like that wireless, and there's no contamination because a lot of people sit in the same room and they're asking questions and they're talking. I know you might have headphones that for the sound. It's supposed to. You're not supposed to hear anything, but
you can still hear a little bit.
Yeah.
But the way I do it, I like it the way I've been doing it, and everybody. And we have pulled people out because sometimes, like a guy on my team, Giuseppe, Uncle Giuseppe, we call him, and we were at the Chrysler Mansion, and, and we had to actually pull him out because something was trying to touch him and mess with him. It's like, come on, shut him down, get him out, and we put somebody else in there.
Yeah. You got to be careful of that.
Because we had the eyes covered also. And there was one case where I think it was at the Shanley where one of them seen eyes coming at them. And remember, they're covered, and they see eyeballs coming to their eyes.
Wow.
And they jumped out and said, okay, we're done.
Yeah, that would do it for me.
Yeah, well, depending.
The price for investigating and for science, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm too old now to go into some of these locations. Like, I used to crawl into like these little holes and spaces and stuff like that.
Those days are over.
No.
Yeah.
We just go in there and do. I'm gonna get EVP, and now if I crawl in those spaces, I'm gonna die in that space because I'm not getting out.
We did.
Don't back up or ain't crawling for me no more. Yeah.
When we went to Waverly Hills, they have the morgue section in Waverly Hills, and some on our team went into the morgue. I'm not doing that. I don't want to have that lasting impression in my head that that's the last thing I need of all people. So I didn't do that, but we were questioning, where should we put the REM pod and where should we put the video camera? And we were going back and forth, and very loud, we heard, over there.
Wow.
Chimed in, and I have that. It even recorded on the recorders as well. I thought that was the coolest thing. Like someone was just hanging out with us for the night at Waverly.
That's good. That's very, well, I haven't been to Waverly yet. That's one place I've been wanting to go to.
Fascinating place.
Right.
Fascinating.
That's one of my favorite places to go.
Yeah, I've been to, like you said, the Trans-Allegheny. I've been to I've been West Virginia Penitentiary. I've been there a couple times. Yeah, but Waverly I have to get to.
Funny, you find like those little spots, like, oh, I have to get there. Like everyone else has been there except like us, and you find them a little here, a little there.
Yeah, like Rolling Hills. I've never been to Rolling Hills, and I've been up that way so many times.
We've never been there either.
Never been there either.
Yeah, I've never been there, which is I probably would want to go. But I like to hit some of that Midwest stuff.
Oh, some of the places out
The Sally House. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I
The
don't know.
Ballista House.
Chuck Paranormal. Huh? I'm crawling into space again.
Anthony.
We're putting that on a shirt. That's the best ever.
Oh,
Ron,
it's going to be good.
Ron.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that so much. I'm surprised you didn't flip him off.
He's trying to behave.
Yeah. Oh, man. Like I said, Ron.
You're speechless.
This is the first. All good says
You're having a good time there. At my expense, yeah?
Sorry.
Yeah. But there's one place I like to go to. My bucket list is the Sally House. And that's, which house I'm talking about? I mean, that's what really got me when I first seen that, that people are actually starting to investigate. I mean, growing up, I didn't know about investigations. So I had experienced things, and I used to run around cemeteries with dowsing rod and stuff. But when I started seeing that, I'm like, wow. People, I watch sightings, and that's why I seen it. It was to this day, that's really got me into like going into buildings and stuff like that. Because back then, Glendale, what do? You hang out the cemeteries.
Crematory Hill.
Yeah, that's pretty much. You were running around the cemetery, especially Cypress Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
There used to be grave robbers there, and half the graves were open. You look in, there's skeletons there.
Yeah. There was a lot of vandalism there.
They fixed everything up now, so but you go into cemeteries back then. So the sightings is what with the Sally House is what really got me into like I'm going to check out people's houses to help them out and stuff like that too. And that's what got me into going to homes and stuff like because of that. I wanted to help people and get my answers. Why the hell these things following me around? I was 3 years old when I first seen mine too. I seen shadows and stuff like that. My dog used to be barking at these shadows, and my mother, nobody would be around. And you grow up seeing that,
Yeah.
so you want to get your own answers.
And that's
So-
how I got into it. I needed answers to what I'm seeing. You think
Mhm.
you're going crazy. You think you're losing your mind. And, for a while there, when you're that young and you grow up with that, you think it's normal until you start going to school and people aren't talking about this. Am I the
Yeah.
only one? And you don't say anything, but you just listen and you learn not to speak and you just learn to listen. And, and you just keep your mouth shut until you find somebody who has those similar experiences that you can relate to. And
Yeah.
that's, even in this field alone, when you get asked for an investigation, we believe the people when they contact us. We believe their stories, and we're interested in helping them, and that's what we're here for. But we love the historical locations. There's just something about those that the energy that's in these locations is
Mhm.
above and beyond.
I love the fact that you guys went to the one where Washington was, because I think a lot of people don't realize how far back this was. And when you really think back, like I'm in Pennsylvania, but people think that Pennsylvania is nothing but coal mines. And they'll say, oh, you're from Pennsylvania. Oh, like coal crackers. No, like this is where independence began. This is where everything started. You know what I mean? There's a lot here and there's so much to do. And it's just to think that that's, this is where they sat around a table and they signed everything. It's, where it all started. But
Morris Jamel's mansion, just to follow along with that point, at the time of the Revolutionary War, that was the high point on the northern end of Manhattan Island. That was George Washington's headquarters for about 3 or 4 weeks until the British forced him out. When he left Long Island, he took headquarters there. So he was living in that place for 3 or 4 weeks. And after the war, they had a big wall there afterwards. They had Jefferson, had Washington, had Adams, had Franklin, had all the founding fathers were there in the hexagon room there. Octagon room. But it's fascinating.
there are so many places that we don't realize that they've stepped foot into, and they're crumbling and falling apart. And just like Chris said, historically related locations need us to help save them.
Mhm.
We should be, giving more thought to these things. Like I was in Philadelphia, I was doing a ghost tour, and I didn't even realize that there was this really interesting park kind of in the middle of all of these really old buildings. And they were talking about how during the Revolutionary War, they were dumping bodies there, and they were just sitting there kind of rotting until someone could dig a trench, throw them in, and cover them up. Well, we were told that one of these old buildings was kind of like an old jail on the first floor, and you could kind of see, well, I saw, body shapes of people looking out these windows. No one else was able to see it at the time, but they talked about how while these bodies were sitting in this, middle stage of what they were doing, there were grave robbers that would, and I was reminded of this when you're talking about this, they would come by and they weren't taking gold or jewelry or whatever. They were literally taking bodies or body parts because they were learning how to do, replacements in people that were walking around living beings. So it would be nothing for someone to be there and have no leg. And they didn't even question it because they were paying whoever was watching the bodies to take the body parts. Because they had like hospitals around there that were, somebody would walk up and, okay, here's a cadaver leg for the person that you're looking to transplant.
Mhm.
It's the weirdest thing to me that no one even knew that this was going on. And this was part of the story that they were talking about while we were doing this tour.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back a long time too. Body robbers, and they used to sell it to schools, and because that's how a lot of medical schools learned with cadavers. And it's cheaper to pay somebody to go find it, dig up a dead body, than actually for them to get cadavers, because fresh bodies back then. Remember, there's no refrigeration units and stuff like that to
Mhm.
keep these bodies fresh. So they get a fresh body, they would pay a lot of money and do their,
But this was like 1773, 1774. I mean, like that was a long time ago. This was
Mhm.
something that you don't learn in school. This should be something that everyone knows about. Kids in school should be learning these things, and you don't even have enough time to learn about penmanship. These kids are not even going to know about the Constitution and the
Yeah.
Declaration because they're not going to know how to read it since they don't know how to do handwriting. It's sad.
It is.
Yeah.
I wrote a note at work in cursive, so I write notes, and they keep and look at, wow, you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. My kids didn't learn how to write script. And I'm like, this is how you do it. And I showed them, and I actually had to show them how to sign their name.
That's
And they do it now, but I'm just like, they didn't teach that in school. They're like, oh, they don't need that. What do you mean? Because they're typing?
Everything in handwriting back then, and it was the coolest handwriting. I mean, you can't know the difference between an S and an F in most documents back then. But I mean, like everything that they wrote was so beautiful looking. And today, they're not even going to know how to sign their name. They're going to have to put an X. It's ridiculous.
Everything's digital signing now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's just going to get more prolific as we go along.
Yeah. So-
Downtown, with Washington, because I worked down there rebuilding the towers for a while, and there's the church right there on the corner. St. Paul's,
And,
It's-
Trinity Church.
Trinity.
so there's Trinity Church on one spot,
Yes.
and St. Paul's right across the street from where the towers. And that's where George Washington was. He was sworn in as president of the United States, because you walk in there and there's the booth on the top where he actually was sworn in with the audience, with the people in the church. But he was sworn in right there at that hall, at that church.
Oh, I didn't know that. That was
Yeah, he's sworn in right there. And
It was a question. Wall Street.
who was it? Alexander, what's his name?
Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton. He's buried in Trinity Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's over there. But if you go down to the other church by the top, that's where George Washington was sworn in. They got the whole thing there.
Have
Yeah.
to look next time.
Yeah, when you walk in the church, on the right hand side, because they have a monument for also the firefighters that died at that location during 9/11. But there's on the top there's what do you call it, Romeo, or like somebody could stand and he was sworn in right there. Because George Washington did a lot of stuff in downtown there.
He
He
did.
did a lot of stuff down there. Of course, George Washington slept everywhere in the United States. So Washington slept in right in. But they didn't
Don't go
last
passing
week.
that
What doesn't
around.
matter?
That doesn't sound
Yeah, George Washington.
passed around. George Washington slept around.
Yeah, with his wooden teeth.
And we did a couple of cases way out east, and there, for a while there we kept hearing, there's a descendant of Thomas Jefferson here, a descendant of Thomas Jefferson there. This guy had more kids
Yeah,
than I mean, I don't even think he knew how many kids he had.
Got
Everyone
around.
knew it was a kid. It was
Got
like
he had every color shade of children. Yeah, this. He slept around.
he didn't stop.
Yeah.
And it was so frowned upon, but he went around doing it anyway.
Yeah,
Well, I guess you have money back then. Well, like now, when you have money, you can do whatever you want.
I guess.
But
He wasn't even much of a looker either. It was like
No, he was a little eccentric as well. George
Yeah.
the Hoe, Chris said.
George the Hoe.
George the Hoe.
Yeah, George slept around everywhere. But when you go down there, check that out. That church, because I actually worked in Trinity Church down the priest needed new air conditioning put in, so we had to rewire the whole system for him. And you go down the basement there, and there's the old tombstones that were in. They moved a lot of tombstones because you could tell old tombstones, like even in Glendale, all the cemeteries there, because some of the tombstones there were put there. After they were built around what was it, 1846, 47. So a lot of those, especially Cypress Hill Cemetery, because there was a law in Manhattan that they had to remove, if it wasn't part of a graveyard, it wasn't part of a cemetery graveyard, and you have people buried in your backyard, you had to move the bodies.
Yeah.
So they moved it, of course. Where are they going to move it? Queens. Hey, we're sticking in Queens. Hey, everything at Queens.
Brooklyn didn't want them.
Brooklyn said, nah, give it to Queens. So we got it all over there. And with a lot of the stuff, and I forgot what I was going to say. Give me a moment. Oh.
I love Philly. And I found out that I was related to Robert Morris, who also signed the Declaration and the Constitution.
Oh, cool.
And no one knows who he is, but he funded the entire Revolutionary War. So I went looking, and we went to Christ Church, and that's the coolest church ever. It's like amazing to go. So Washington had his own little section where his family sat, and then Robert Morris sat next to them. They were best friends, and you now have to pay to sit there, which is really interesting. And I guess back then you did as well, but probably not as much. But then when you walk out, their tombs are in the ground, and they're big flat tombs. It's really cool if you have the opportunity to go there. But it's so neat to go there during Christmas. It's awesome. The poinsettias and like everything is really decorated. It's really beautiful. So if you get a chance to go there, it's amazing to see what it's like, because everything happened there. And they had the baptismal font was lent from England, and it's never been returned. So it's still there. It's really cool. So everyone's kind of there because it's all been in like a 2-block radius, because no one had vehicles. They just either walked or rode horses. All of their houses were in that 2-block radius.
Wow. Where is that again?
In Philadelphia at Christ Church.
Christ Church. Okay.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. It's just amazing. And
We stopped Christ Church when we were there. Didn't we stop there? We may have.
I think
I just don't remember too much about it. It was a while ago.
A lot of the like presidents or like the signers during that time were all there.
Cool.
Because they all lived in the area,
Yeah.
It was a really interesting place, but it's cool. It's a cool place to go to if you get an opportunity to visit.
I remember what I was saying.
Bring it. And then we'll close up.
But what happened was, like I said, they were moving all the gravestones from the city, and they were moving it into, the Queens area, Cypress Hills, all Faith Cemetery or Lutheran Cemetery and stuff. And what they did was take all those bodies, and they were putting them in those cemeteries in the Queens, and some in Brooklyn, but in Queens and all that stuff. So when you walk in there, the cemetery starts they from 1846, 1847, but you're going to have graves there that be marked from the 1700s, and they're like brown muddy tombstones like. And if you look at those, they date back because those are the ones that were transferred from Manhattan to that location. Okay. Also, during the transportation of all these graves, remember they put them on horse and carriage. They went over to the river. They throw them on boats, go across the river, on the other side of the river, throw on horse and carriage, and drive them to these locations. Now, you're going from Long Island City to where Queens is on horse and carriage or whatever. And a lot of times the bodies, the boxes would break and the bones would get mixed. So you didn't know whose bone. You had the tombstone. So they used to make mass graves. Take one big hole, throw all the bones in there, and then put tombstones in that area. There's a couple of up in Cypress Hill Cemetery, and they used to put the tombstones, but it was like a mass grave because
It got lost along the way.
Who belonged to who? you know, because everything was broken apart and mixed, and the bodies were decayed and everything, and there were just bones, a lot of them. So, yeah, that's in Cypress Hill Cemetery. There was a couple of mass graves there that, you know, later on, you know, they found out, but they just put the stones there. But that's what I'm trying to say about the mudstones from Trinity Church. They had down the basement all these mudstones that when they made the cemetery smaller, the graveyard smaller, they took all these stones out and they put them down the basement there. So I'm curious if those bodies are still in the ground there, outside on the avenues, because all these stones are still there. They didn't get transported to Queens, so they could still be down there.
I'm sure. I'm sure. If not, you know, there's got to be a few of them anyway. You know.
Yeah, you know, that was interesting. I was like, look at the thing, and you could feel like the clay.
Yeah.
The tombstones, like the old from the 1700s or the early 1800s, stuff like that. Yeah. See, I finished my story, Maureen.
Holy crap! It took forever.
Well, you cut me off a couple times, you know.
I did not. I waited for
You
you.
gotta give the old guy a chance to think, because you know I'm over here trying to think. Oh, what did I just say? I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Glad we got there, though, buddy.
Yeah. Are you guys doing anything soon, or you?
Well,
anything
Gettysburg we have coming up. I have a trip with Sam Baltrusis in about 2-3 weeks in Rhode Island. We have a couple of private, more, you know, other cases on the back burner for the summer, probably end of July and August. So things coming up. Maybe we can hook up together and do something together.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, just you know, if we have something too, I'll try to reach out and see.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be
Yeah,
good.
let's have a good time. You know, in a couple of weeks, I think we have Sam as a guest on the show.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
Yeah.
next week we're having Dan Cleese. Did I saying his name right?
Dan Clace.
Clace. I'm always saying people's names wrong.
Oh, Dan Claes. Okay.
Yeah, we're having him next week, and in
And
a couple of weeks we're having. I think,
Following week.
Cool.
yeah, so we're having a couple of people coming on. So, you know, but I mean, so yeah, we gotta definitely get together. And Gettysburg, we gotta get together just for
Oh,
drinking and smoking and some cigar.
We'll do something.
You know what I mean?
that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait. I'm so stoked. I actually said to Anthony today, oh my God, I can't believe it's coming up so soon. I'm so excited. I'm getting more excited as it's getting closer. Usually I panic because I hate to pack.
Oh. I kept thinking it was August, and he's like, no, it's only in a few more weeks.
It
I'm like,
usually is, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
You're
3
right.
weeks.
We'll be up there Thursday night. You guys going up there Thursday or Friday?
yeah, we're going up Thursday.
Oh, then we'll see you guys there too. Yeah, we're doing our show live out of there Thursday. So we have guests. So maybe you could just pop in.
We're going to walk around and like stalk people while we're there.
Well, I'll talk to you before then anyway.
Yeah, I'll be on the deck with a beer and a cigar. Hey, welcome to the show. Hey,
Hopefully just one beer.
That'll be the word of the week.
How you doing, man?
Yo.
yeah, how you doing? Hey.
Or
Yeah.
forget about it. It depends on the time.
What's
Yeah,
your
well, it's depending on how much I drink. The more I drink, the more Italian I get. Hey,
Yeah. Same.
I think everybody gets more Italian. You drink it like, hey, yeah, oh, you know.
So thank you guys so much for being with us. It was
Thank
such
you
a
for
pleasure.
having
pleasure.
us. Thank
It
you
was
so
great. I
much.
love the stories. I want to hear more and more and more.
Yes.
We'll fill you in Gettysburg.
Yeah, I would love
Yeah.
that. So for everyone here, check out www.gothamprs.com. This was a great night with Angela and Bill. Thank you for being here with us as usual on our Thursday nights from 7:30 to 9:30. This was Dimensions of the Supernatural. I am Maureen Grodzinski, and this is my wonderful co-host, as always, Anthony Simonelli, otherwise known as
Mr. Forget About It. Okay, Mr. Forget About It, Mr. Q. Okay.
Same Time
Good night. Be safe.
next week.